Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. So from today onwards, we will understand how people from the India or Indian subcontinent or from Sindh and Hind started moving towards Arabia. But before we dive any deeper into this, let's address this question: who are these Indians? How did they come to India? Who are they descendants of? How are they connected to Nooh alayhi salam? Now you need to understand this by going thousands of years. That means after Nooh alayhi salam. One of the sons of Nooh alayhi salam by the name of Ham, he is the forefather of people of Africa. And another son of Nooh alayhi salam by the name of Yafith is the forefather of the Turks, the Chinese, the Europeans, and some of the people who are found in that region of Central Asia to Europe, and so on and so forth. And Sam, he's the forefather of the Faris, the Arab, the Babylon, and many of the other nations that we have talked about last time, like Amalika, for example. So the descendants of Ham moved into India. The original natives that are the Aboriginals, these people were staying in India for some time when another wave of people from Africa, especially from the Horn of Africa, where you see the Ethiopia, where you see the Djibouti, and some of the other surrounding countries. That is a little part of the Africa that sticks out. It's called the Horn of Africa. They started moving outside of Africa, and this was the first wave of Africans arriving in India. We're talking about thousands of years ago in the BCE. As this movement came of these mass immigration over some period of time from Africa to India, these people came and intermingled with the local originals, and as a result of that, we have what we call the Dravidians, who are very much African looking, and some of them who didn't mix with the other people over the period of time. They're very close to their African descent, as they are more closer to the African descent and less closer to the mixed descent. Now we also need to keep in mind that 5,000 some years ago, there was this society of farmers and herders from Persia. These are the Semites that started moving into the Indian peninsula, most likely in the area of Sindh and maybe some areas of Hind and in the northern parts, and they intermingled with Dravidians. Some of them intermingled more with Dravidians, and some intermingled less with Dravidians, and some did not intermingle with Dravidians. As a result of that, a new mixed race came into existence at different parts of the Indian subcontinent. And this was the first encounter of the children of Ham with the children of Sam. And they lived for thousands of years in that setting. It is believed that also the people of Mohenjo-daro and Harappa were more or less related to the Persian herders and farmers who moved into the Indian subcontinent. And they might have a little bit of mixed race with the Dravidians, but they had the Persian race was a little bit stronger in them, as they didn't mix as much as those Persians who moved little bit deeper into India, especially in the southern and the central India. And then came another wave of the people, but this time these were the children of Yafith. These are the Indo-Aryans who moved at one point from Central Asia into the Europe, pushing the natives even farther back, and then another wave of them came down south to India. These Aryans brought with them the knowledge of their religious knowledge of Vedas, the Vedic knowledge, and then that intermingled with the locals. As a result of this intermixing, new things are generated and new race was born. So this is where we see a big mixture of the children of Ham, Sam, and Japheth. That's why when you are entering in this region, you will find a variation to an extent that baffles your mind, that up north in the Pakistan, the mountainous region, you would find people with blonde hair, blue eyes, green eyes, gray eyes, fair skin. You may assume, mistaken them for the Europeans. And as you started going down south in the southern tips, you may think that these are Africans in the Indian Peninsula. It is very, very mixed. If you're going near the Chinese border, you may find people who look like Chinese, and then there are people who are a mixture of Ham and Japheth, the descendants of Japheth who are Chinese, with the descendants of Ham who are coming up from the south. You see little darker skin but Chinese looking people, or with a touch of the Chinese looking people. So it's a good mixture of people, a lot of the different races from the different sons of Nooh alayhi salam. Over the period of time, as they grew more and more and more, they had this land to come to. These people who are Indo-Aryans, they are the ones who brought the chariots, the horses, that the people of India were not familiar with prior to that. And they also brought in this farming and other trades that the people of India were not familiar with that long ago. As a result of this mixture, we see another set of variation, and also there are linguistical differences between the Aryan languages that we find and the Dravidian languages that we find. The Dravidian languages down south of the India, where we have the Telugu, the Tamil, the Malayalam, and some of the other languages which are spoken in that part of the world, that are very differently spoken and they're very differently written from the Sanskrit script, which is considered to be one of the original languages. The languages of the Vedas is claimed by the Aryans. However, there are a lot of people out there who are saying that this is just a British propaganda of colonization. When they came and settled in this part of the world, they wanted to divide and rule and conquer. So they said this nation comprises of people who came from the outside, and then there are people who are original. So there is a local extremist movement within India which denies all these claims and says that we are all sons of the soil and we have all been here forever and we are from here, we never came from anywhere. But the genetics of different parts of India, as the genealogy was studied and the genes were collected, there is a difference in the genes that are found from 900 BC, which is after the movement, and the genes that were collected from 1200, 1500 to 2000 BC, that there is a very fine depiction of people before the coming of the Aryans and the people after the coming of the Aryans. So genetically speaking, we can understand that. So why am I going into all of these things? Because these are your questions. You wanted to understand who are Indians, how did these people came into existence, and we still even to this day see that even though by living together and intermixing, sort of kind of, we see that these are all Hindus. However, there's a big differences in which when you go down south, the Hindus of the south and the Hindus of the north of India, there are a lot of differences. Even in what we call the Aqidah, there are some differences in the Aqaid. We don't have to go into the details of that, but this is the makeup of India, where we have down south one culture, up north one culture, and in the mix we have another culture in the central India. And then we have on one side we have Bangladesh, modern day Bangladesh. We have a little going up, we have the Buddhists, and in India on the western side we also see some Jains, which are mixed with Hindus, and the Hindus is a predominant majority for the most part in this mix in the pre-Islamic era I'm talking about, not now. Now now, well, if you go from Pakistan all the way to Bangladesh, almost 1/3 or little over 1/3 of the Muslims that are found in the world, out of all the Muslims, maybe 1/3 of the Muslims are living in these three countries. I mean, it's subhanallah. It's like so many Muslims live in this one region between the three countries. So anyway, the bottom line is, at that time, this is the makeup. Now, when we start studying about the trades route, it is very important to understand that these people, over the period of time, had built certain trade relations. Some with the neighboring towns and cities and the countries, and some have taken sea routes as far as the southern tips of Arabian Peninsula and the Horn of Africa, Ethiopia and some of those regions. And then there are trade routes established in this region going as far as China. And there is a trade route that is connecting Arabia also to the Europe. That will be our next lecture. I'll show you a map so that you can see on that map what trade routes are there when we are talking about the pre-Islamic Arabia, somewhere around 1500 years ago. This trading movement really facilitated and helped to spread the message of Islam to the different nooks and corners of the world. But that's for the next time. Inshallah, we'll catch you next time. Thank you for your suggestions about what should be the name of our channel, so that it doesn't get confused with Thinking Muslim or The Thinking Muslim. Based in the UK, our current name is Thinking Muslim. Inshallah, we will be looking forward to more inputs from you guys, and then we may run a poll, and then we may decide what will be the new name, unique name for our channel. And we're also going to run it against the YouTube to see if nobody else is doing business under or very close to that name. Well, inshallah, till next time, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss on this beautiful series that we are starting now, very much connected to the pre-Islamic Arabia. The idea is, in the next steps, to help you understand the trade routes, then to help you understand the kingdoms and of which were reaching as far as India and their connections, and then how so many Indians actually decided to immigrate and permanently move with their entire tribes and had settlements in Arabia. And what were they doing there, and who were they, and which parts of India were they from? But that's till next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.